Back in the late 1990s, the Pokémon trading card game was just a simple playground game for kids. You would buy a pack, trade monster with your friends, and stuff the card into your pocket. Today, that innocent game is completely gone. We are watching the adultification of a children's game. Over the last few years, adults have paid millions of dollars for a single rare card. The modern Pokémon card market has evolved into a mass market phenomenon that blends aspects of a hobby, an investment, and a cultural revival. So, why is this happening? What drives the market today is a mix of basic human psychology and financial greed. The obsession with collecting, the need to own, the thrill of the hunt, and the gamble of future profit. The kids who played the game in the 1990s grew up. Millennials and Gen Z are now adults. They brought their adult money back to the franchise they loved as kids. They are chasing a feeling of nostalgia, but they are also chasing financial ownership. They turn their childhood toys into speculative financial assets. This current hype reached a massive new level recently because of the digital casino. The Pokémon company launched a mobile app called Pokémon TCG Pocket. This app gamified the pack opening experience. It acts as a digital loot box simulator where you pay real money to open digital packs of cards on your phone. It was an unbelievable success, generating over $120 million in just its first month. This massive digital success acted as a giant funnel. It pushed millions of casual players and nostalgic adults right back to the physical card market, creating a massive wave of desperation to buy real cards. But why is a piece of cardboard worth hundreds or thousands of dollars? A card's value is fundamentally driven by two things. The first is supply scarcity. The Pokémon company acts exactly like a central bank and manufacture artificial scarcity. They do this by keeping the pool race for the best card incredibly low. For example, they might print a beautiful, highly desired card, but they ensure that it only appears in one out of every 2,000 packs. They do not sell you that rare card directly. Instead, they force consumers to buy thousands of cheap packs just to chase it. The second driver of value is condition rarity. Because the condition of a piece of paper is highly subjective, third-party companies step in to act as judges. The biggest of these companies is PSA. You pay them a fee and they inspect your card under a microscope. Then they grade it on a strict scale from 1 to 10 and lock it forever inside a hard plastic case called a slab. A perfect PSA 10 commands a massive price premium. However, a microscopic factory flaw, like a tiny speck of white on the back corner, or the picture being slightly off-center, significantly reduce the card's value. That tiny flaw can be the difference between a card worth $50,000 and a card worth $500. The plastic fold make grading company the ultimate gatekeepers of wealth. However, there is a massive flaw in the modern market. In the past, vintage cards were valuable because they were truly rare and usually damaged by kids playing with them. In the modern era, the high print supply and the high percentage of perfectly graded cards defy historical collectible fundamentals. Because so many modern cards receive a perfect gem rate of 10, they are not actually rare. This makes the modern market highly volatile and purely speculative. Because so much money is flowing into the hobby, people have figured out three primary ways to make a profit. The first way is flipping singles. This means trading individual cards, whether they are ungraded raw cards or graded slabs. Sellers treat this just like the stock market. They track pricing data on websites, look for cards that are priced slightly lower than normal, buy them and sell them to someone else for a profit. They exploit tiny price differences across the market. The second way is holding factory-sealed products. Many investors never open the pack at all. They hold factory-sealed booster boxes and elite trainer boxes in their closets or storage units. They treat these boxes as long-term appreciating assets. Their goal is to hold onto them for 5 or 10 years, betting that the unopened boxes will become rare and highly valuable in the future. The third way is content creation. Influencers and YouTubers utilizes the massive hype around Pokémon to build large audiences. They generate huge amount of revenue through video views, corporate sponsorships, and live stream pack openings. For them, the cards are just props used to create highly profitable entertainment. When you look at how the money moves, you have to ask a serious question. Is Pokémon card collecting just gambling? By strict definition, gambling requires three elements to be present: consideration, risk, and a price. When you look at how the money moves through the modern trading card hobby, it checks every single box. You can see this unregulated casino operating across three distinct layers of financial risk. The first gamble happens the moment you buy a sealed pack. Your consideration is the real money you spend at the store. The risk is brutal. You are hoping to beat microscopic odds to find a rare chase card. The prize is pulling that highly valuable piece of cardboard. The reality, however, is that most packs contain basic cards worth only a few pennies. You are simply playing a slot machine where the payout is shiny paper. If you are lucky enough to pull a good card, you immediately enter the second gamble, grading. Your consideration becomes the expensive fee you pay to a grading monopoly like PSA. The risk is that the grading process is done by humans and is heavily flawed. A microscopic factory misprint that you cannot even see with your own eye can ruin your score. The price is a perfect 10. A single drop to 9 whips out thousands of dollars in potential profit. Once you finally have your graded card sealed in a plastic slab, you enter the ultimate gamble. Your consideration is the massive amount of capital tied up in holding the card as a financial asset. The risk is a highly volatile market that is easily manipulated by influencers and fake sales data. The price is eventually flipping the card for a massive return on your investment. But the reality is that your asset could crash overnight just because a YouTuber made a video saying the card is no longer popular. Although we have been focusing on the cynical side of the hobby, it is important to remember that for many, this is not just about a profit. In the US, if you walk into a local card show on a Saturday morning, the atmosphere is completely different from the cold, ruthless world of online botting and market manipulation. In these convention centers and hotel ballrooms, you see fans of all ages flooding in with binders full of cards. There is a real sense of community here. You see veterans of the hobby acting as teachers and historians, showing newcomers how to spot a good card or helping them to understand the law of the game. You see people meeting, trading, and genuinely connecting over the stories they have with their cards. It is part hobby, part cultural revival, and part genuine friendship. Furthermore, we cannot overlook the art itself. The modern Pokémon cards are objectively beautiful. Unlike the simple designs of the 90s, today's cards feature incredible full-page artwork with layered textures, vivid colors, and dynamic poses. For many, these cards are not just assets, they are small pieces of gallery-quality art. People are drawn to the hobby because these cards make them feel something. But this is exactly what makes the current state of the market so tragic. Because the artwork is so stunning and the nostalgia is so strong, it has made the hobby a target. The genuine love for the art and the communal spirit of the local card scene are being drowned out. The same passion that once built a community is now being used to fuel an engine of pure speculation. The hobby is currently caught in a war between the people who love the cards and the people who only love the price tag. To truly see how far this financialization has spread, we only need to look at the birthplace of Pokémon, Japan. Historically, the Japanese market stood in stark contrast to the West. While American collectors were obsessed with PSA grading and cheating cards like Wall Street stocks, Japanese players were deeply focused on the game itself and the intrinsic meaning of limited promotional cards. But that innocence did not last. The disease of speculation eventually infected both sides of the ocean. Instead of gambling on plastic grading slabs, Japanese speculators aggressively trade highly sought after promotional items and full art character cards. It has become so extreme that the glass display cases in Akihabara card shops looks more like bank vaults, with individual cards carrying price tag in the thousands of dollars. What started as a difference in culture has ultimately proven a dark reality. No matter the country, the modern greed surrounding these pieces of cardboard is inescapable. This brings us to the dark side of the modern Pokémon market. The greed has pushed people to exploit every part of the system. First, there is the rip and ship casino. On live streaming platforms like Whatnot, influencers run massive unregulated gambling operations. They run games called bounties. A buyer pays a very high price for a pack, and the streamer opens it live on camera. If the streamer pulls a rare card, the buyer wins a huge prize or store credit. If the pack is empty of good cards, the buyer gets nothing. This directly exploits gambling addicts. It sells them the mere chance of winning a rare card pull live on stream. But because the prize are trading cards and not cash, it legally bypasses actual casino regulations. Next is retail complicity. Corporate giants are cashing in on the desperation. In the US, major stores like GameStop has started acting exactly like street scalpers. They take new Pokémon products and artificially inflate the prices well above the suggested retail price. They do this simply because they know desperate fans will pay for it. It gets even messier at big box retailers. Apps for stores like Walgreens or Dollar General often show ghost inventory, telling buyers that cards are in stock when they are not. This creates a cycle of frustration that ends with exhausted retail workers being shoved at by grown adults who think the staff is hiding the cards in the bag. Finally, there is pure market manipulation. We have seen cases where anonymous collectors treat the market like a game, aggressively buying up every single copy of a random forgotten card, like a 1999 Kabuto, just to see if they can force the price from $1 to $100. It's a clear sign of how unhinged and fragile the current market has become. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, automated computer bots drain online store stock in a fraction of a second, making it impossible for regular people to buy cards at normal prices. Wealthy investors organize coordinated buyouts, snapping up every single copy of a specific card just to artificially inflate its price. We even see the spoofing of sales data, where bad actors create fake transactions on pricing websites to trick the public into thinking a card is worth much more than it actually is. It has gotten so extreme that we now have fractional ownership platforms which allow retail investors to buy tiny digital share of a single rare card, treating a kid's trading card exactly like a share of stock in a major corporation. The soul of a children's game is being suffocated. What was originally designed as a fun, innocent way for kids to connect and trade monsters on the playground has been taken over. Adults are now optimizing every single layer of the hobby for maximum profit, from the printing press to the plastic grading vaults, and the live-streamed and regulated casinos. Every step is designed to extract as much money as possible from the fans. The hobby is currently caught in a war between the people who love the cards and the people who only love the price tag. But bubbles don't last forever. The real question isn't whether the hype will die, but what will be left of the community once the smoke finally clears. Thank you for watching.